Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're exploring the DNA of a literal global superpower, the United States of America. We are going to break down exactly what makes this massive, incredibly complex nation tick. Everything from its geography and history to its deeply ingrained culture. Here's our roadmap for the day: the land and time, history, government and economy, society, education and healthcare, wild nature and tourism, and finally, food, festivals, and culture. Let's just dive right in.
Starting off with Section 1, the land and time.
To truly understand America, you have to first wrap your head around its sheer monumental scale. The physical geography itself dictates so much of the country's culture and its global power. We're talking about a staggering 9.8 million square kilometers. That immense size is exactly what allowed it to become this isolated, self-sustaining economic powerhouse. It makes the U.S. the third largest country on Earth, sharing a massive 8,900-kilometer border with Canada to the north. It's a wildly diverse expanse made up of 50 states, 48 of which are connected right there on the mainland, while Alaska and Hawaii sit outside of it.
Because this landmass is just so massive, navigating time here is literally a giant puzzle. The country is actually split into 6 distinct time zones. Eastern Standard Time serves as the baseline for places like Washington, D.C. and New York. So to put that into perspective, if you're watching this explainer from India, the U.S. capital is roughly 9.5 hours behind you. And because the nation spans all the way out across the Pacific to Hawaii, the sun is literally setting in one part of the country while people are just finishing up their lunch break in another. It's wild.
All right, let's move right along to Section 2, History, Government, and Economy.
The historical ascent of this nation is dizzyingly fast. It kicks off with European exploration in 1492, fast forwards to 13 rebellious British colonies declaring independence in 1776, pushes through a brutal civil war in 1861 to end slavery, and then culminates with the U.S. emerging from the Cold War in 1991 as a modern superpower. Talk about a lightning-fast historical transformation.
Now, that journey from those original 13 colonies to the 50 unified states we see today is captured perfectly in their traditional national motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. It's a concept that's beautifully baked right into their iconic flag. You've got the 13 stripes for the origin and the 50 stars for the current reality. It really represents the strength that comes from a wildly diverse population coming together.
To maintain the world's strongest currency and incredibly high GDP, the U.S. actually relies on a mixed economy. It's not just the pure Wild West capitalism people often assume it is. While the private sector absolutely drives fierce technological innovation and sky-high productivity, the government steps in heavily to maintain sprawling highway networks, public education, and frameworks for healthcare. It's that careful balance of systems that keeps the economic engine roaring. And similarly, their political power is completely a balancing act. As a constitutional republic and representative democracy, the U.S. uses a federal system. This means power isn't just hoarded in one place. It's divided between the federal government in Washington, D.C., which handles the big picture stuff like national laws and foreign policy, and the state governments, which manage regional laws perfectly tailored to their specific populations across the 50 distinct states. Okay, on to Section 3, Society, Education, and Healthcare. If there's one defining mindset for the roughly 347.3 million people living there, it is undoubtedly the American dream. It's this deeply held, practically sacred belief that anyone can achieve success through hard work, self-reliance, and sheer individualism. Americans heavily value independence, for sure. They fiercely believe that no matter where you start out in life, effort and innovation can lead to an exceptional standard of living.
And hey, when they aren't working hard or striving for success in their highly advanced, though, let's be honest, notably expensive university and healthcare systems, Americans pour an intense amount of passion into sports. It's not just casual entertainment, it's practically a religion over there. Massive sporting leagues like the NFL for American football, the NBA for basketball, alongside baseball and ice hockey, draw millions of fiercely loyal fans. These games really act as massive cultural touchstones that unify incredibly diverse communities.
Which brings us to Section 4, Wild Nature and Tourism. Let's look at what you can actually see.
The physical landscape of the U.S. is a complete study in beautiful extremes. On one hand, you have the continent's absolute tallest peak, Denali, piercing the freezing Alaskan skies at over 20,310 feet. And then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, there's Badwater Basin in California's Death Valley,
Sitting at 282 feet below sea level, it acts as the lowest, driest, and hottest point in all of North America.
Now, to protect this wildly diverse environment, the United States has established a massive network of over 430 national park sites. This includes Yellowstone, which was actually the first national park in the world. And get this fun fact, it sits directly on top of a massive supervolcano hidden beneath the earth. The park system also protects awe-inspiring natural wonders like the Grand Canyon in Arizona, which was carved over millennia by the powerful Colorado River, offering a really crucial sanctuary for biodiversity.
But if urban exploring is more your vibe, the man-made sites are just as iconic. Over on the East Coast, you've got New York's 305-foot-tall Statue of Liberty, which, remember, was a massive copper gift from France symbolizing freedom. In Washington, D.C., you can walk near the historic halls of power at the White House. Or head out west to Los Angeles to wander the cinematic streets of Hollywood. Or up north to San Francisco to take in the stunning orange-red span of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, Food, Festivals, and Culture.
Okay, let's talk food. American cuisine is essentially the ultimate comfort food melting pot. Yes, it is globally famous for on-the-go fuel like cheeseburgers and hot dogs. Actually, get this. Americans eat around 150 million hot dogs just on July 4th alone. No way, right? But dig a little deeper into the regions and you are going to find incredibly rich, slow-cooked, smoky barbecue ribs, deeply savory macaroni and cheese, and of course, the quintessential cinnamon-spiced apple pie. It is hearty, profoundly comforting food.
And man, they definitely know how to burn off those calories by throwing some absolutely epic celebrations. The festival culture here is huge. You can experience the vibrant, historic costumes and live brass bands of Mardi Gras down in New Orleans. You can look up to the skies in New Mexico for the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, which is literally the largest hot air balloon gathering on the planet. From the cutting-edge music stages of Coachella in California to the radical art community of Burning Man out in the remote Nevada desert, there is a festival for absolutely every subculture you can imagine.
So, for our international viewers, if you are thinking about making the roughly 12,000-kilometer journey from a place like Delhi to Washington, D.C., you really need to be prepared. First off, ensure you have a valid passport and U.S. visa. Once you land, remember two absolutely crucial cultural rules. First, tipping generously at restaurants is highly expected. It forms a core part of a server's income. And second, Americans heavily value their personal space, so be mindful not to stand too close to strangers when you're waiting in public lines. Wow, we have covered a massive amount of ground today, from monumental landscapes to a dizzyingly fast-paced history and a total powerhouse economy. The American story is truly one of endless reinvention. But hey, our world is vast and the connections are endless. So here's my final provocative question for you. Now that we've mapped out the U.S., what complex country, concept, or hidden history should we decode in our next explainer? Let us know, keep learning, and thank you so much for joining the journey.